Well, it has just been a messy year of high inflation, high interest rates, and dropping home values. I would say most of us are ready to put the year behind us, but what can we expect for 2023? Well, let's get out the crystal ball because today we're talking inflation, interest rates, and market predictions. Seriously, where is my popcorn? Because this is gonna be good. Well, hello, this is Wendy Pinnell, and in the next 30 seconds, I'm going to completely explain inflation and how the Fed fights it. Ready? Okay, go. Inflation is too many dollars chasing too many goods. The Fed's all, man, we got to get rid of some of these dollars. So what does the Fed do? Well, did you know for every $7 in the economy, $6 of that is credit? So the Fed makes it more expensive to borrow by raising interest rates. Plus, you have the savvy amongst us who realize if rates are up, they can make money by saving. In both ways, raising rates reduces dollars out there being spent. And that's how the Fed fights inflation. Whew. So the Fed is fighting inflation with higher interest rates. But is it working? And if not, when will it work? Well, according to BMO Capital Markets, they indicated that the end of the tightening cycle is not that far off. They went on to say evidence of further moderation in inflation will be enough to stop the Fed from hiking. In order to really get a grasp on this, it's important to understand that the Fed uses something called the Consumer Price Index to measure inflation. Now, the problem is that this CPI measurement involves some 12 months of measurements, and each month is equally weighted. Now, with every new month, 1 month drops off, leaving us in this time period of when inflation was really high, but that doesn't mean it's really high right now. With each month being equally weighted, it's misleading and it makes the Fed think it's worse than it is. Okay, picture it like a roller coaster. Okay, the people in the front are already going down, but the people in the back don't know that. From their perspective, they're still going up. So the weight of the past several months' high inflation obscures us from seeing that inflation is going down now. When the back catches up to the front on a roller coaster ride, the roller coaster goes down really quickly. So it's going to be interesting to see if that's how inflation will work too. So if you're keeping track, CPI and inflation look to be headed down. So that's good news. Next up, I told you we were going to talk about interest rates. So let's do that, okay? Let's just say your very rich Aunt Ethel just died and she left you $1 million. I mean, you could go out and spend it, but being the financially astute person that you are, you decide to invest it. You want to put it somewhere safe, so government bonds seem like just the thing. Here's the issue though. There's someone else who wants your money. The mortgage industry. But when you compare bonds to mortgage-backed securities, well, obviously bonds are way safer. Things could go wrong with mortgages. In order to fix this, mortgage rates have to be higher. So typically, mortgage rates are around 2% higher than bonds. So do you want the safety of the treasury bonds or the higher return with mortgage-backed securities? Tough call. Well, when investors feel hunky-dory about the economy and mortgage rates are nice and fat, they're gonna head on over towards mortgages. The bonds have to raise what they'll offer in order to be competitive. So you have this constant 2% tug of war until now. How are things different now? Well, as mortgage rates have been going up, treasury bonds are actually going down. This is against the 2% tug of war, guys. A 7% interest rate on mortgages offers a great return. Every investor should be flocking there. If they were, bonds would be raising their rate to try to compete. Instead, these mortgages at 7% interest in our current economy are so unattractive that the bonds are dropping their rates and still bringing in plenty of takers. And that, my friend, is a market prediction, okay? You have to ask yourself this question. If interest rates are the highest they've been in years, why is everyone buying bonds? Well, Michael McKinsey with Bloomberg gives us a hint. He says treasuries are priced for recession and rate cuts within 12 months. Gertrude Chavez Dreyfus gets to the crux of the matter. She says the U.S. 2-year yield, which typically moves in lockstep with interest rate expectations, has fallen nearly 53 basis points since November 4. So if investors had confidence in the economy and they thought rates were going to stay high, investing in mortgages makes sense. But what happens during a recession? Well, interest rates go down. What happens when interest rates go down? Well, everyone refinances. So ultimately, all this action with bonds is predicting where the market is headed, okay? Investors are essentially calling the Fed's bluff, okay? They don't believe interest rates will stay high. We've got the Fed saying,
we will keep raising rates until the job is done.
And then we have investors saying, we don't believe you. Alexandra Semenova references this. She says if CPI data comes in lower, it it doesn't matter how hawkish the Fed's new interest rate projections are, markets will ignore them. So inflation headed down by virtue of the roller coaster effect on CPI. Interest rates, well, if the bond market has anything to say about it, interest rates are headed down. Those are two bold and rosy predictions, aren't they? But here's the question of the hour. What's in store for the Dallas housing market? I mean, let's say inflation and interest rates both go down. What can we expect here? That brings us back to the age-old topic of supply and demand. The Dallas Observer wrote about this. They said even before the current housing crisis hit, the Dallas-Fort Worth area wasn't producing nearly enough homes. Okay, they referenced a new study that concluded that Dallas-Fort Worth ranked the worst for underproduction in Texas. Let's be realistic though, does it even matter how much new construction is built if the average buyer can't afford it? We discussed this in this video along with several other ugly truths about new construction. So right now in Dallas, we have a lot of supply sitting out there that not many people can afford. A lot of good that's doing. As interest rates come down, homes are going to become more affordable, and especially if we get to the point where the average buyer can afford new construction again. At that point, we should definitely see our Dallas market back on its feet. But what do you think? Inflation, interest rates, market predictions? I would love to hear your thoughts. Comment below. In the meantime, Wendy out.